We are in very unprecedented times, and that is the reason why we find ourselves as Texas legislators having to step up and step out of our state in order to amplify this message and allowing people to recognize that although all eyes may be on Texas, this is not a Texas issue. This is a United States issue.
Welcome to the Practivist Pod, the practice of activism made practical.
Today we talk about the terrible job numbers and Trump's authoritarian response, the Texas and now national redistricting fight, and the Epstein oversight subpoena. But we are not talking about Trump's stupid-ass stunts on rooftops.
At least not much. Then I sit down with one of the Texas State Legislators that is breaking quorum and fighting the egregious gerrymandering in Texas, Representative Cassandra Garcia Hernandez.
I'm Jessica Craven.
I'm Steve Pearson.
Oh no, stay strong. It won't be long. Yeah. We will build a better world.
Steve, how are you doing? First of all, nice to see you.
Oh, I'm great to see you too. Glad you're still having a little time with your family in Nova Scotia.
Yeah. Still in Nova Scotia. Still, we're just, beaching and also working. In between beach trips, I make videos about gerrymandering and democracy under
doesn't
attack.
Everybody, isn't that how everyone spends their vacation?
That's what every vacation is like. Let me tell you, it's just content creation and beach time.
We should have recorded this from the beach. We should have recorded this from the beach.
I should have.
That would have been cool.
I could have put one of those fuzzy little things on my microphone.
Yeah,
so
just put a windscreen on it and we're good. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Someday we'll be in a place where we can do that. Hey, a reminder to all of our listeners, we are on Substack and we have the ad-free version on there for you. If you support us, that would help us a lot. So check us out there. We'd be grateful for that. Also, we have a call-in phone number where you can let us know what you're doing, what actions you're taking, how it feels, what's going on in your community. That number is 818-824-4286. And so happy anniversary of the Voting Rights Act that was passed 60 years ago as we're recording this. Signed into law by Lyndon Johnson, whose picture is behind me right there with my dad.
Lyndon Johnson has come up a lot in my thoughts recently as we saw PBS, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which he also spearheaded the creation of that entity. So many things that Lyndon Johnson did being undone right now, all of his great society. I mean, such as it is, getting sort of attacked by Republicans. It's a hard moment. It's ironic that this is the 60-year anniversary of the Voting Rights Act as we see Republicans in Texas, seek to reach new heights of partisanship and new heights of having politicians choose their voters rather than the other way around. It's distressing. We have a lot of work to do to sort of get back to what Lyndon Johnson envisioned and then go much, much further, which of course needs to be done and has been needed for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think it's sobering, right? Wouldn't you say it's a sobering moment?
It is a sobering moment. It also gives me a lot of hope. And, we have one of the legislators from Texas on our show today to talk about what they're doing. But they've been using today specifically as a moment to showcase just the contrast between Democrats and Republicans. And when it comes to voting rights, where Republicans have constantly sought to, gut the Voting Rights Act and try to weasel their way around it and draw, maps that disenfranchise voters that are racist and unconstitutional. The Texas maps, for instance, that are now getting redrawn are already pending court cases or in the middle of court case because of their extreme racial gerrymandering as they currently exist. And this just goes further. It's great to see not just the Texas Democrats, but Democrats all over the country showing up, especially today in this moment, to talk about what we stand for and what we will do, both once we get back in power to solidify these laws and put an end to gerrymandering, but also how we're going to fight back right now and fight fire with fire and not cede the battleground. If they're going to gerrymander their maps, then we're going to do the same thing. We're not going to give away seats. And, so it's a moment I think that many of us want to see from Democrats, and that's, being strong, standing for our values and going on offense too, and being proactive. So.
Yeah. It's good to see. It is, it's amazing to me to see. Well, there's a certain amount of pushback from people on the right saying, how dare they leave the state? How dare they started, like, literally I have had people say, but they started it. Democrats started it. They started partisan gerrymandering, which I don't know historically which party started it, but I think if you get on the good old internet and Google it, it is abundantly clear who has abused partisan gerrymandering more, who is benefiting from it more, and also who is fighting way harder to keep partisan gerrymandering in place. It's such a simple answer. Democrats have been fighting for years to pass a bill that would end partisan gerrymandering. Every time they have introduced it, every Democrat has supported that bill and every Republican has opposed it.
That's right.
If you don't like partisan gerrymandering, talk to your Republican lawmakers there. Because Democrats have been trying to get rid of it, but if Republicans won't get rid of it, Democrats are not going to stand with their hands tied behind their backs anymore and not avail themselves of tools to fight back against basically electoral bullies who are trying to steal our lunch money, our lunch, our clothes, who are trying to steal everything. They're trying to steal our democracy. And it's really nice to see Democrats, for once, really fighting back. I mean, I don't want to say for once. They have fought back before.
I was going to push back a little bit on that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's true. They have fought back plenty, but like this is what we want to see.
Yeah.
This is, and it's sad on one level. I'm like, it is so sad that everybody is being pushed to these extremes because of one toxic leader who literally knows he can't win because his policies are terrible. And so he's throwing the entire country into chaos. And it's really upsetting. And what I really think, and I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist about this, but I think at this point, Trump is so terrified of Democrats winning the House, not because they're going to block his policy agenda, because he doesn't have a policy agenda. He already got his tax cuts. That's all he cares about. What he's terrified of is those subpoenas around the Epstein investigation. Because I think it's become abundantly clear that there is real reason to think that he is deeply implicated in this. Yeah. And every time he does something like this, it becomes more evident that he is desperate to cover something up. And now he's doing this. And, anyway. Well, no, it makes me more determined than ever.
Absolutely. I hope everyone feels that way, because, a lot of what we talk about on this show is hearing from people who are like, well, what's the point of working, in these midterm elections right now? We may not even have an election. Well, if you don't think we're going to have an election, then why are they going to such extremes and working so hard to try to steal these seats in Texas and other places? Not only are we going to have an election, but, we are poised to win and take back power in the House. So if this doesn't get people, inspired to get involved now and start working in whatever local swing district you're close by or whatever races, resonate with you. I don't know what will, but we need to be doing this right now because, even if we do, if they, which likely they will, gerrymander in Texas and create, those seats. And then we do it again, here in California, which is a few steps for us to do. We'll have to call a special election, and take it to the voters to do that. And I think we can pull it off. But everything, like when we look at the Cook political reports and all of these close seats, you've got to add points to all of that, because all of the cheating and the voter suppression tactics they use, bomb threats, National Guard presence, making people afraid, especially around ICE. How about putting a bunch of ICE agents around polling places so that anyone who looks like they could be an immigrant is afraid to come out and vote? Like, that is what we have to fight. The election's going to happen, but we have to organize now. We have to win by a lot. We have to blow them out, because that's what we're going to be up against.
Yeah, and we have to blow them out. When I hear what they're trying to do in Texas, my original impulse was just like, you know what? Bring it on. Take your 5 fucking seats. Take your 5 fucking seats. We are going to beat you by 50. We are going to destroy you in the midterms. And if you want to gerrymander those seats, we're going to win them anyway. You are going to, what do they call it? Dummy mandering, when you spread your voters almost too thin.
Right.
I don't care. Voters are going to be so angry by next November because, honestly, Trump is destroying our government. There will be nothing left by next November. So I trust in the American people. I understand the American people have made a lot of bad choices, but I feel that by next November, they are going to they're going to try to suppress. They're going to do everything that they possibly can, but voters, I believe, will be so angry, because look at the damage that's already been done.
Yeah.
Look at how much more time we have to go. A year and a half. I don't even want to think about what they're going to do. How many people are going to die in natural disasters because the government refused to be prepared? How many people are going to die how many babies are going to die of the measles? The damage that is going to be done is incalculable.
Yeah.
So you fucking gerrymander away. We are still going to win these seats. I hope that every person in the country who's upset about this is becoming furious and defiant and determined. Because when they come to try to cheat like this, when they are simultaneously destroying everything good about this country, you should be angry. And you should be determined that you are not going to let them get away with it, because it's enraging. And it cannot be allowed to stand.
No. And I think I speak for all of our listeners right now when I just digress and say, I love you, Jess Craven. You're the best.
Thank you.
Let's segue that right into, when we talk about the pain that people are going to be feeling and why, Trump is going to lose so bigly in these next midterms. It all boils down to pocketbooks. It all boils down to people's wallets. Yeah. And, we can... not to say there's not important nuance and different issues that, people care about, but pretty much across demographics, people worry about their wallet and their ability to pay for stuff and the cost of living and all of that. And so, we had a terrific, I was going to say terrific. I meant to say horrific jobs report, and then a
horrific if you're Donald Trump, though. It was terrific. It was terrific.
Exactly.
The bad ones were fake.
Yeah, the bad ones were fake. The good numbers, but really, really scary. And the revision that happened was pretty drastic too in the jobs numbers. And so I'm sure everyone saw Trump's response to these terrible jobs numbers is to fire the head of statistics, the chief that released those. Literally, it's killing the messenger. Right. It has nothing to do with that person has nothing to do with the numbers. A page out of the authoritarian
playbook. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for anyone who caught Rachel Maddow's great breakdown of we're not heading towards an authoritarianism, we are here. It was a great breakdown. But these numbers are bad, and they're going to continue to get bad. And so we're seeing renewed tariff stuffs right now. The tariff war with India, which has always been a historic counterweight to our leverage against China too. So this is more uncertainty. And bringing politics into the stuff with the tariffs with Brazil, because his ally was convicted for, I don't know if this sounds familiar, trying to overthrow an election. So, it's. I talk about it kind of in a tongue-in-cheek way, but this has real ramifications globally too, if we can't trust basic numbers that come out about inflation, the job market, and all of that. And now Trump is going to install someone who, is one of his people, who will be more apt to suppress numbers. And I think that agency will have a hard time, spinning everything. But that's what he's going to try to do.
Yeah, he's going to try to do it. But here's the thing. Like, what he can't do is change the prices of things, right? I mean, it'd be great if he could, if he would just go out there and,
well, that's what he promised.
Whatever.
Yeah, he should do
right,
that.
He promised that. So go do that, because that's the thing Americans are paying the most attention to. We all know how much it costs to buy a dozen eggs. And I'll tell you something. I'm in Canada right now. Eggs are half the price. They're half the price. They're like $3.50 a dozen here. $4 a dozen, maybe.
Well, our chickens are much nicer here, right?
So our chickens are much
why they're more expensive.
Our chickens are great again. But like, let me tell you, groceries here in general are so much cheaper. It is a noticeable drop from what I spend in the United States for the same stuff. But Americans, we're not stupid. We all go grocery shopping. Donald Trump has not ever grocery shopped in his life. We have.
Yeah.
We know how much a quart of milk is, right? We know how much our basic staples are. He can't fake it. So he can fake the jobs numbers. What else is he going to fake? He'll fake whatever. He'll, the GDP, those numbers apparently were also completely distorted by the tariffs and by the sort of weird buying waves that people are doing to try to fend off the tariffs. But he can fake all that stuff, but he can't fake how much your groceries cost.
Yeah.
He can't fake that your rent is going up all the time. He can't fake the fact that, it's impossible to find a house that you can afford. Like all of these things, no one can afford their student loans. You can't fake that.
If you're unemployed, then him saying that the job market is strong is not going to help you much.
Totally. Health insurance, which is about to skyrocket for all of us because of the bill that Republicans just signed into law, that you can't fake that. So like the thing that is so upsetting about Trump among all the other things is just how stupid he thinks Americans are. His own voters. They're so stupid that if I say the jobs numbers are great, they're just going to believe me. And like, some of them will for a while because Fox News will follow Trump's lead. But like, ultimately you can't fake prices going down when they're going up. You just can't.
Really,
and that's why ultimately Americans, you can fool them on a lot of stuff. You can't fool them on prices. And, I think this is this really arrogant part of Trump, because for him and for his rich cronies, the elite of which he is the ringleader, they don't care about grocery price. They could go up 5 times what they are now and they wouldn't care. It doesn't affect them. I don't care how much a carton of eggs is. We care.
And
we notice
these oligarchs who are so wealthy, just to kind of put an example of the kind of wealth that they have. You know what the number one kind of car that is abandoned is, that people find like abandoned in the side of roads and broken down or in ponds or whatever? Supercars. Like cars that like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff. Like, look on the internet and you'll find all of these pictures of these abandoned supercars that cost $250,000, $300,000, $400,000, where these oligarchs don't know how to drive them and they go off the road and then they just leave them there. Because it's like buying a shirt for them. The wealth disparity, the world they're living in is so disconnected from any other reality, to your point. So, but anyway, it's kind of fun to see those pictures of those cars on the side of the road. Anyway, I digress.
I didn't even know what a supercar was. I literally was like, what's a supercar? I didn't even know what that was. The whole idea of these fancy cars.
Not like a Batman or like the Supermobile.
No, I understand. I mean, I get it, but it doesn't surprise me. It's really like they're so separated. They're so rich that the cost of anything is not something they ever have to think about.
Yeah.
There's no cost of anything that is of concern to them. And so for them, the idea that like Americans don't really care. They'll just absorb it. They don't understand that like absorbing these cost increases is impossible for people.
Yeah.
They just don't get it. And because they are them, they don't choose to try to understand that. Whereas Democrats, like, look, some of them are assholes, some of them are great, but like they at least acknowledge like this is an issue. And we're trying, most of them not the Joe Manchin's, not the Kirsten Cinemas, but like most of them are really genuinely concerned with like, how can we get those prices down?
Yeah.
Republicans are like, I don't care. You'll forget about it. You'll vote for me anyway. You always do. That's literally all they've got. You'll vote for me anyway. You always do. They are relying on tribalism over policy now to a laughable extent because they're not even pretending anymore. You don't like it? Doesn't matter. You'll vote for me anyway. That's their whole shtick.
True.
Ugh, it's so insulting.
True.
I'm done. Let's move on to another topic.
Yeah,
I can't
no.
anymore with these people.
I
think
know.
because I'm in
and
Canada.
The entitlement. I saw your video about the entitlement thing too, about Trump saying that he was entitled to 5 seats in Texas. Yeah.
He's entitled. They're all entitled. And here in Canada, let me tell you, they're like, what is the matter with you guys? Like, what? Why are you allowing this?
Sorry,
and it's like,
Canada.
I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say. They're like, he breaks the law every day. Why is he still in office? If that were our prime minister, he'd be in jail after like 4 days. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I literally don't know what to tell you. Why? I understand that a lot of Americans are really upset about it, but man, the Republicans' own base, I don't understand it. They must like being kicked when they're down. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Someone make it make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I can't, but, I think it's a good way to segue kind of into the Epstein stuff, but also a reason for hope, and avoid talking about this ridiculous roof stunt. Like, I don't even know what the fuck Trump was doing up on the roof, like dancing and yelling at reporters, other than trying to distract us. And, the job numbers came out. He doesn't want people talking about that. But to your point, the biggest thing is, he wants the Epstein scandal to go away. It's not going away. You talk about Republicans who rely on their tribal block of voters to just vote for them no matter what. They are being splintered. That tribe is now breaking up and it's confused. It's doubting the things that Republicans have been telling them. It's doubting the things that Trump's been telling them. And he wants it to go away, and it won't. So he went up on his roof to dance around a YMCA. That was his tactic.
And the thing that's so frustrating about it is how the press fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. It's hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've never really gone fishing. That Trump's up on the roof. Trump is up on the roof. Who the fuck cares? I don't care where Trump is. If he's on the roof, if he's in the basement, if he's in his new paved over garden, I don't care. I want him to get prices down. I want him to get healthcare costs down. I want him to get rental costs down. I don't give a shit where he is or what he's dancing to. Why is he not helping Americans? And why is the press not asking that question? Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Stop falling for the distraction. Why are you putting Ghislaine Maxwell in a low security prison?
Right.
Why are you considering pardoning her? Why are you considering pardoning Sean Combs? What is going on?
Yeah.
Oh no, but he's on the roof. So we all need to focus on that. Oy, come on.
Man.
Have we learned nothing? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in obviously a very ranty mood.
The sea air has been good for you, Jess. It's really
it has.
I love it. All right. Well, let's talk about your reason for hope then, because it's related to this.
It is. Okay, so I just saw on social media, which I'm not supposed to be looking at, but I am, that the Oversight Committee has now officially issued the Epstein files subpoena. And the reason this is hopeful is because they had sort of voted to issue the subpoena. And then there was this pause where it was like, well, what's the holdup here? You vote to issue it, and then usually it gets issued right away. Like, if Jim Jordan were in charge, it'd be out the door. But it wasn't, but now it has been. Mm-hmm. And so now the Trump DOJ must release the files by August 19th. Now, do we think those files are going to be, everything that we want them to be, totally transparent? God, no. They'll probably be like one giant Sharpie
on them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's progress, and we have to embrace it. And here's my little lecture for the day, and then I'm going to be done. It's just like, you guys, let's not let this go. Okay, let's not let it go. Let's not let this be like the thing that was a really big deal in July, but then in August, they moved on to something else.
Right.
Like this, there's something here. It is huge. I've never seen a person act as guilty in my life. as Trump is acting right now, as a lot of congressional Republicans are. And look, I'm sure there are congressional Democrats who are also like, good. Sunlight on all of it. Sunlight on all of it. Look at what these poor victims are going through. Watching Ghislaine Maxwell be paraded around, be put in low security prison. These victims have been through hell. And every other sexual assault victim in the country is going through hell watching this happen. For every sexual assault victim who has ever walked the earth, we have to stick with this until we get to the bottom of it, until we get transparency. This is really a matter of justice for every victim in America, and especially those Epstein victims. And so please, I'm asking every single person listening to this podcast or watching it, don't let it go. Don't let this be flavor of the month.
Yeah.
We need to get to the bottom of this, no matter who is implicated. If my favorite politician ever were implicated, I would still want it out there. And I hope every single person, MAGA or not MAGA, feels the same. Let us join together on this one thing and make this happen.
It brings us together more. It brings us together more than any other issue has, and I couldn't agree more. You know, it's important to not let it fade away for so many reasons. You know, politically, tactically, because Trump's clearly very, very guilty, and he's trying to push it away. But most of all, as you said, because of the victims, you know, and because of all the victims of sexual assault, rape, and abuse all over the country and the world who are watching this right now and watching how we respond to this moment. So
please,
I can't believe the Republican Oversight Committee is giving you hope, that they're your reason for hope. That's almost as bad as when I've put the Supreme Court in my reason for hope segment. But, you know, we will take it. And they did also subpoena, you know, the Clintons and Robert Mueller and some other folks on it. And we'll see if they show up, because when they were all subpoenaed, Jim Jordan and other members of Congress, they defied the subpoena. They did not show up at all. So
that's right.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
My reason
so
for
what's your
hope,
reason for hope, Steve?
Yeah, my reason for hope is I kind of already talked about it at the very top of the show. It's really what's happening with these Texas Democrats and Democrats in general coming together to fight fire with fire and stand up and not be on their heels, but lean into their toes, as our Governor Gavin Newsom has said. And this is what we need right now. We have to meet this moment with the fight that it requires. And I'm seeing Democrats all over our country doing it. And it's inspiring to see these Texas legislators who, you know, frankly, like most state legislators, don't have a lot of resources, especially when they're in the minority. They're not getting paid a lot, too. You know, it's a really tough job, and in many ways very thankless. They take a lot of incoming and don't have the opportunity to really be thanked. And right now, you are seeing some incredible people, you know, future stars of our party, stepping up in this moment, and it really gives me a lot of hope. So that's my reason for hope. And
I want to give a shout out also to agree with all of that, and the Texas activists, the content creators who have been showing up and throwing down and trying to show what's happening there. The Texas Democratic, Party has been doing great. Everyone who has shown up and waited 5, 6, 7 hours. Olivia Giuliano was saying she waited in line for like 7 hours, 2 days in a row, and never got to testify. But like people like her, like so many people I know, showing up every day, protesting in front of the Capitol, calling, even though it feels like they don't give a shit what you want. And maybe they don't, but you're doing it anyway. And that fight is meaningful. It means something. They may be pretending they don't care. They care.
So
they're noticing. So keep doing it. No, that's it. Keep going.
Didn't mean to cut you off, but yes, I could not agree more. I said this during my interview with Representative Garcia Hernandez. I believe it in my heart. The Texas organizers are some of the best organizers in the country. And Texas is a purple state. You heard it here. The Craven Political Report can affirm it is a purple state. The only reason it is not turned blue is because of this egregious racist gerrymandering that already exists in the state. And there's just some amazing people doing that work. They give me a lot of hope. And Cassandra actually called out the very same people when I asked her what gives her hope. So I'm spoiling the whole interview. You should still listen to it, though. You should listen to it anyway. But but yeah. All of it gives me a lot of hope, and mess with Texas, right?
Yeah. Don't mess with Texas. So that's it. Bravo, Texas. We love you. We're there with you.
Yes, we are there with you. And now, without any further ado, let's hear my interview with Texas State Representative Cassandra Garcia Hernandez. Cassandra Garcia Hernandez is a Democratic member of the Texas House of Representatives serving the 115th District. She is vice chair of the State and Federal Relations Committee and a member of the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. She was also named Mexican American Legislative Caucus Freshman of the Year. Rep. Garcia Hernandez, thank you so much for being here with us today during what I know is a very busy time for you and your Texas Democratic Caucus. We were just talking before we started recording about how many requests you're getting and your phone and emails just going off the hook. So, I appreciate you sharing some time with us.
No, thank you so much. Like I said, allowing all of us to pop up and jump onto everybody's shows to let people know what we're doing and why we're doing it is very important. So thank you for taking the time to reach out.
Well, thank you for everything that you're doing. This is your first term as a representative, and I'm sure you didn't plan on leaving your state to block the disenfranchisement of the voters you represent. And just a few hours ago, there was a threat made against the safety of your caucus. How are you holding up in general?
Well, I would say we're all in good spirits. Today is a monumental day. It was the day that the Voting Rights Act was passed. And so we took an opportunity today to reflect on how important not only the movement was in the signing of the Voting Rights Act, and that today is the anniversary, but what we are doing and how that is very important in making sure that we protect the progress that was made on that day, and so many other days, and making sure that there is representation and that the people continue to keep their voice.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that up too. Just personally, my dad was actually counsel to President Johnson and helped implement the Voting Rights Act along with the Great Society and so many things that are just being ripped to shreds right now. That's the smallest part of it all, my dad's legacy, but personally, it's horrific to watch. And it is the 60th anniversary today as we're recording, and we have a lot of work to do to fulfill that promise. It's just been gutted by, of course, the Supreme Court and many other things. But so you guys are taking a stand. Governor Abbott and Trump have threatened your caucus with FBI intervention and arrest. Abbott has asked the Texas Supreme Court to vacate some of your seats. Trump said that he is entitled to 5 more seats in Texas. You are a lawyer. Is there a legal foundation for any of these threats?
Now, as far as the sanctions that we have lodged against us, like the fines, the reduction of our budgets, our operating budgets, all of those things, yes, those are valid. They are within our Constitution. A lot of them were passed after the last quorum break. We're aware that we are subject to fines that we will have to pay for. We're aware that if we don't pay those fines within a certain amount of time, they will reduce our operating budget, amongst other infractions as well that we will be subject to. We've all spent time in making sure that we look over and with speaking with counsel as well, making sure that we fully understand what we were getting into and deciding to deny quorum. And so, but with that, even knowing those things, we knew how important it was that we move forward in doing this because quite frankly, me and all of my colleagues believe that we're willing to make that sacrifice and have to pay those fines. And of course, last time around as well, they also received, some concerning threats, whether through their individual offices or those type of things. So we were very aware that our safety could also be at risk as well. And of course, we are going to be putting some additional procedures and safety mechanisms in place going forward, just to make sure that we protect one another in what we're doing. So
good. Glad to hear that. Obviously, this isn't just a Texas fight. This is a fight for fair elections and equal representation all over our country. And Texas may be the test case right now, but it's happening everywhere. And fortunately, Democrats like you are stepping up. And in states like mine here in California and New York, we will respond in kind. Can you speak to this as a national moment? And also, where do you stand on blue states responding with partisan redistricting of their own?
Sure, absolutely. Our caucus as a whole has obviously been going all over the U.S. and meeting in separate delegations with so many of our blue state partners. And we are so incredibly appreciative to the governors, the assembly members, and various organizations as well that have been helping us connect with those individuals and have real discussions about what is going on in Texas, and more importantly, how that will impact on the national level. And you're absolutely right. We know that Texas is essentially the guinea pig right now. Once Donald Trump gets what he wants, which was the 5 seats, he will essentially, go and do it in other states. And we already see right now that some of the Republican states are already saying that they are entertaining and looking into redistricting as well. And so I think it's just really important, the work that we're doing. Obviously, right now we have denied quorum, but at the same time, we're also doing work remotely too. All of us are still responding to constituency calls, still have our in-district folks showing up for events, holding virtual town halls. But we're also doing these trips and getting the information out. But I want to make sure that we make it clear, we're not necessarily telling other states that they need to do this. If we end up passing the maps in Texas, our job is just to go and meet with them and explain to them the gravity of the situation and allow them as their own leadership to decide if whether it's something that the state can do or not. I'm sure that, you know that a lot of some of these states have a third party that essentially redraws their maps after the census. And so we have seen where some states have indicated that, unfortunately, given how they do the redrawing process, it's a little bit more complicated than just calling a special session and redistricting. But I would say we have already heard 2 Republican congressmen, both from California and New York, who have already discussed about potentially putting legislation in through Congress that essentially says no states, red or blue, are allowed to redistrict, that they have to do it right after the census comes out, to essentially keep from both, red and blue states from being able to redistrict. And so I think that we have been part of that process of really showing that how important, obviously, that we not allow somebody from the White House to dictate to other states what we should be doing. But also, that this just isn't the path that we should be going down, both blue states and red states. And so that's what we're doing right now. I think what we're doing right now, the denying of quorum, isn't just to, necessarily stop the process of what's happening in Texas and the redrawing of the maps, but we're also allowing people time to have more discussions and figure out if whether this is really the path that we need to be going down, and maybe more level heads will come forward on both sides in recognizing that I think we all in unison need to speak out and say to the White House that you do not tell us what to do in our states. You do not dictate to us. You're not a king. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think some of the Republicans who are speaking out against it, I believe Kevin Kiley is one of them, who will certainly lose his seat if we move forward with our redistricting here in California. And as you also articulated, we do have an independent redistricting commission that was approved by voters. So we would have to call for a special election in November to change that. So not so simple, but we will respond in time in kind. And I 100% agree with you, and I think most of us do. This is, voters should choose who represents them, not the other way around. And this is egregious. I'll point out that the existing maps in Texas have been challenged by courts for the extreme gerrymandering that already exists. So these new maps are even that much more egregious on top of that. In the spirit of the Voting Rights Act, we need to get H.R. 1 passed, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed, and we need to, shore up our elections and get rid of partisan gerrymandering. But until then, if they're going to play by, try to rig the system and play by these rules, we've got to respond in kind, so.
Absolutely. All of us, as we've been having conversations, doing podcasts, doing segments, going and meeting with elected officials all over the United States, the emphasis has been on the message that we must fight fire with fire. We are in very unprecedented times, and that is the reason why we find ourselves as Texas legislators having to step up and step out of our state in order to amplify this message and allowing people to recognize that although all eyes may be on Texas, this is not a Texas issue. This is a United States issue.
Absolutely. Just to switch gears a little bit, I actually ran for California State Assembly, and I did it because of the opportunity to make such a huge impact on people's lives as part of a Democratic supermajority. You face a very different situation serving with a Republican majority and a Republican governor. So I'm just want to know what compelled you to run.
Well, thank you. So actually, my congresswoman, who's one of the congressional districts in Texas that is being redrawn, Congresswoman Julie Johnson, was my predecessor in the state house. So she represented House District 115 before I did. And she actually, dear friend and mentor of mine, she practices law as well, used to be one of my mentors when I was a baby lawyer. And so when she decided that she wanted to go up to Congress, she actually tapped me on the shoulder and said, our district, in fact, is a minority majority district, very, very diverse district that I absolutely love. And she actually said, I think you would be a phenomenal person in the legislature. I know how passionate you are about speaking for the voiceless. But more importantly, I know the lack of representation that we have in the state house. And I think that you would be a phenomenal as a woman of color to essentially take up the torch and the sword and continue the fight and progress that we have been able to make in House District 115. Because now Congresswoman Julie Johnson actually flipped that district in 2018 against somebody who, quite frankly, does not even have very high likability within the district now. But that just goes to show how very often communities are changing in Texas, very diverse. It is a minority majority state. Minorities make up the majority now. The Latino community in particular almost makes up half of the state. We're the biggest demographic in the state. And so, but because of, just like you were discussing, the already greatly gerrymandered maps that we have in the state of Texas, that has greatly diluted our representation as communities of color, to have people who look like us to have a seat at the table. And so we're seeing that even more so is coming from this new map that they have proposed. Like I said, Representative Julie Johnson's District 32, Mark Vesey's District 33, both that actually overlap with my House district are essentially being redrawn. Mark is a wonderful Black man who has done phenomenal things for his district, gotten reelected multiple times. We've got also 3 other districts in the Houston area are represented by Black members as well, that quite frankly have been serving their communities for decades. And now they're essentially smashing them into one district and setting up what eventually could be a battle between communities that us in Texas and Black and Brown communities have worked very hard to build relationships with each other and recognizing that we're stronger together than we are divided. But now we're seeing that essentially communities are going to get pitted against each other in districts, in minimal districts now based off the gerrymandering. And I know you had talked about the fact that it had already been gerrymandered in the current litigation on the 2021 maps.
Right.
A lot of folks don't realize the level of hypocrisy that's going on in regards to that litigation and the maps now. And as far as the Attorney General Paxton was arguing as soon as June, literally a month and a half ago, that those maps were not created based off race. And now we've got this letter that has come down from the White House that essentially says these districts are based off race and need to be broken up. And these are districts that were included in the lawsuit. So now they're essentially talking out of both sides of their mouths, but they know that they've gotten their marching orders from the top. And so they're trying desperately to give Trump what he wants and bow down to him. But our message as Democrats and our caucus is making sure that people recognize we do not have a king in D.C. We do not have a king in Texas. And we do not stand back whenever bullies are coming for our communities, coming for our voices. So we're just going to continue to keep fighting.
Absolutely. I love the image of you with the torch in one hand and a sword in the other. Yeah. And, it's just so racist and wrong and craven and everything. The Republicans just want power and that's all they care about. And, thank you for standing up. I want to shout out to all the great organizers in Texas too, who have been doing so much work. Texas is a purple state. Texas is not a red state. Texas has been gerrymandered out of its true representation. And if things were equal and fairly represented in Texas, I think it might even be a blue state. But it is a battleground, and there's amazing organizers there, amazing people doing the work, and frankly, it's really makes me very, very angry to see this done, and very inspired to see you all standing up. What's the best way for our listeners, activists, and folks both in Texas and all over the country to support you and your caucus right now?
Sure. So the House Democratic Caucus actually has a website. I believe it's Stop the Rigging Maps, or I can get you that link so that way y'all can throw it up or share it.
We'll put it up on our show notes too.
Perfect. Yep. But our House Democratic Caucus does have a link that is essentially helping us with any of the incurred costs. None of the fines, of course, us as individuals, because of the rules that were passed after the last quorum, are obligated to pay those fines out of our own money. We can't even pay for them with campaign funds. But other things like, us traveling to other states in order to go have conversations and things like that are incredibly important in the work that we're doing right now. And so to what level that people can help. But really what's most important is for people to continue to keep amplifying what's going on in Texas and how incredibly important it is on the national level. Because we know exactly why this is happening. And that's because Trump recognizes that he is about to lose greatly in the midterm elections. And that's based off of the awful policies that he's implemented that are impacting families, not just all over Texas, but all over our country. And so, what we're seeing right now is we're essentially seeing somebody who is rigging the election before we even get there. And this is just, it's anti-democratic. It goes against our democracy. It goes against literally, we're in the fight for the moral fiber of our country. Our country has always been established as a country where people pick their politicians, not politicians pick their people. And so we're headed in a direction that's very dangerous, that takes away the voice of everyone, every voter, essentially. And so we just can't ever get behind that or be okay with that. And so we're going to continue to keep fighting. I know you talked about, the bomb threat that we had earlier today. Like I said, this is something that wasn't necessarily surprising. It was disappointing, but it was something that we were anticipating potentially could happen, especially when you have an attorney general using terms like hunt them down and those type of things. And so, that rhetoric's just incredibly dangerous, but it just goes to show how far people are willing to go to really demonize people for simply trying to do their best in representing the people that they represent, making sure that we represent fellow Texans, but more importantly, represent Americans. So.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for all that. And it is such a difficult time right now for all of us. Every time I ask anyone, how are you doing? It's always with the giant caveat of considering everything that we're all walking through right now. How are you doing? Having said that, I want to ask you the last question that we ask everyone on the show. What's bringing you hope right now?
I know we had talked a little bit earlier about just getting hit from all different directions and, on social media, on emails, text messages, and the outpour that we have received. Of course, we've also gotten the opposite end of support, but
stay off Twitter. Don't go on X.
But I would say overwhelmingly, the amount of people who've reached out to us from places in Texas I'd never even heard of, but in particular from outside of Texas, so many different states. We've even received some information or some emails from people who aren't even from the U.S. who are literally cheering us on. I've received messages from people that are in Europe who are dealing with nationalists policies over there, who are telling us, stand your ground. And I think that, the whole world is watching us right now. Our country has always been a shining beacon to other countries. And it makes me so happy to see so many people who haven't really ever been politically engaged before. And like you said, a lot of people just feel very hopeless and, and scared and all of those things. And they feel excited and motivated by seeing what we are doing right now and standing our ground against what clearly is wrong. And so that gives me hope, as well as our younger generation. They're just really stepping up right now. The amount of folks who have helped us with, their social influencers and all of that, who have stepped up and used their platforms to amplify and encourage our younger generation to follow what's going on and to really educate people about what redistricting is, has been very important. And so I just wanted to take the opportunity to also thank you, because people who use their podcasts, people who've done segments with us, people who are social media influencers who recognize that this is bigger than any of us individually and are amplifying and using their networks to get this information out it's right now huge support for us, but really it's just making sure that we're prepared and that we're united in whatever it is what else he's going to throw our way. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. It is such a pleasure and privilege to get to meet great people such as yourself. So, my job's the easy one, but, Representative Garcia Hernandez, thank you so much for standing up for us. And of course, thanks for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget that all of the links for our actions are in the show notes, so don't just listen, click those links and take action. And please subscribe, rate, and review our show on Apple, on YouTube, or wherever you're listening, and share our show with your friends and family members, and make sure they are taking action to help us win. And if you're able to support our show on Substack, we'd be really, truly grateful for that. And you'll get an ad-free feed of our show as well. And we'll be back next week with more Practivist Pod. I'll be back in Los Angeles, so no more blue wall behind me. And until then, don't forget, hope is an action.
It won't be long.